Welcome to the Bible Breakdown. It's a black man and woman in America who no longer identify as believers. This show contains adult languages, themes, and isn't meant for children. As black people, we respect the history of the black church in America, but its current state is massively abusive, and we think the Bible might be part of the problem. Listen and let us know what you think. Peace. Do some pre-show banter.
Yeah, hopefully this works.
Yeah, I think it's going to be amazing.
All right, this is great.
Well, welcome back to the Bible Breakdown.
Welcome back.
This is exciting.
This is exciting.
I'm using my NPR voice for two reasons today. One, this is our first ever in-person record for the Bible Breakdown.
That is correct.
And also because I've decided I'm just going to be a cooler person. I want to be more persuasive, and I'm learning people don't like emotional women. That's usually just not persuasive.
It is not. What brought about this? Just the recent experiences?
Yeah, just observation. So if I want my goals, if I want to be persuasive, because one of my goals is really to get people to realize what a terrible book this is. And I don't have more power than 2,000 years of branding. But like Steven Universe said, I can make a difference.
Yeah.
I can make a change. So what's up with you, T?
That is a very tall task that you just described.
I'm very capable.
You are capable. Honestly don't know what's going on with my life right now. Going to a wedding. I'm going to Florida, so I get some vacay time in a couple days. That's going to be cool. One of my high school friends is getting married to someone who is
It's a May-December romance.
Yeah, who's way older than him. Yeah. So this is going to be interesting. But you know what? I'm not actually shocked that he's doing this because just knowing the person that he's been from the time that I've known him since I was like a freshman in high school, or maybe even 8th grade, because my high school was also attached to the junior high. So I've known him for a while anyway. He's always just been a different dude. But that's also one of the reasons I fuck with him, because he's never like a guy who tried to be somebody he wasn't.
Yeah.
And so him marrying somebody who we traditionally would be like, why the fuck are you doing that? Is no, that makes sense for his character.
It tracks for him.
Yeah. I'm happy for him.
That's one of the storylines in that show I was telling you about earlier. I've been watching Emily in Paris, and I didn't think I'd like it, but I'm just tragically into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, I'm not proud of myself for liking it, but there's a character on there that reminds me of you. And there's also now they just introduced a character. He's this young photographer, and he's super into this older woman. But it's Paris, so they're kind of into older women over there.
Yeah.
So
maybe I should have been French.
Maybe. You do look Creole.
This is another way to say look mixed.
I mean, yeah.
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 P-Valley's back on. Since we talk about shows, P-Valley is back on.
I know. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, I haven't watched the first episode yet, but I
started to watch The Boys last night, and I fell asleep.
Oh, I haven't even ever watched that.
You never watched The Boys?
No. It's like superheroes though, right?
Yeah, it's ultra violent. A lot of times I have to close my eyes for parts. But you know what? We're not here to review well-made popular culture. We're here to review the Bible.
That's well-made popular culture.
What is?
The Bible is well-made popular culture.
And see, that's why I'm here to push back on that narrative. I don't think it was particularly well-made, but it is part of the popular culture, so you're right there.
I don't even have it on my phone.
What did we talk about last time?
I would let you know if I had the Bible app on my phone, but I don't, so let me pull it up.
Okay.
Side story. This relates to what we're talking about because of what I'm doing. I'm downloading it on my phone, but I remember doing this thing at my house one time because I do acting and stuff. And we needed to do a scene and we needed a Bible. And somebody was like, hey, do you have a Bible, T? And I was like, I have an iPad with the Bible on it, and they were so shocked that I did not have a Bible in my home. They were like, "How can you not have a Bible in your house?" I was just like, "I don't have one." And
How is it not burned down yet?
exactly. And so, anyway, and for the entirety of us pretty much doing the show, except maybe the first few episodes, I've never had a Bible. I always look at this on the internet.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Just downloaded on my phone. Thank you for sitting through that story with me. Hold on, let the Face ID
Well, I was
work.
going to do a quick recap of last
Yeah, go
week
ahead.
because I think it was, to me, it was kind of more evidence that this is a scam that Aaron and Moses were running on the Israelites, and there were some threats. It looked like Aaron's rod budded to show that God liked him best. And the budding of Aaron's rod, the priestly portions. Once again, there's so many directions on how you're supposed to give stuff to the Lord, and the fact that the Lord only wants to deal with Moses. So when you come with your bullshit about how the whole congregation is holy, get ready to be wiped out.
Yeah, y'all know me. I'm just here so I don't get fined. But yeah, whatever you said, that was what happened. I don't know. Maybe we'll have a different energy because again, this is the first time we've recorded in person doing this. So
Yeah.
maybe that'll be a change. Starting with me, I am doing Numbers 19. This is the new. Hold on, because this is not the Revised Standard Version.
Ooh. Get us together.
Well, I had to download the app, and then now they've given me some version that I wouldn't even use.
Sure.
It was the NIV version, whatever that stands for.
That's why you get so much shade for not having a physical Bible.
Yeah, I wouldn't have this problem if I would have the physical Bible.
But isn't it funny that the Word of God has so many versions? Isn't that fun? Maybe God's just fun.
Come on, technology.
Like a dude was really trying to explain to me the other day about how like people, like this helps them and helps them have community. But it's like you can do all of this without the Bible.
You absolutely can. Which is something I learned through polyamory.
Come on, polyamory.
Community and stuff. But we can get all into that later. We'll have some time after this, especially because we're not using Zoom this time, so we don't really have a time limit. So this might, we'll just see where it goes. But let's knock out the boring parts.
Okay.
New Revised Standard Version. Ceremony of the Red Heifer. Numbers 19. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "This is a statute of the law that the Lord has commanded. Tell the Israelites to bring you a heifer without defect, in which there is no blemish, on which no yoke has been laid. You shall give it to the priest Eleazar, and it shall be taken outside the camp and slaughtered in his presence. The priest Eleazar shall take some of his blood with his finger and sprinkle it 7 times towards the front of the tent of meeting. Then the heifer shall be burned in his sight. Its skin, its flesh, and its blood, with its dung, shall be burned. The priest shall take cedar wood, hyssop, and crimson material, and throw them into the fire in which the heifer is burning. Then the priest shall wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, and afterwards he may come into the camp, but the priest shall remain unclean until evening. The one who burns the heifer shall wash his clothes in water and bathe his body in water. He shall remain unclean until evening. Then someone who is clean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer and deposit them outside the camp in a clean place, and they shall be kept for the congregation of the Israelites for the water for cleansing. It is a purification offering. The one who gathers the ashes of the heifer shall wash his clothes and be unclean until evening. This shall be a perpetual statute for the Israelites and for the alien residing among them. Those who touch the dead body of any human shall be unclean 7 days. They shall purify themselves with the water on the 3rd day and on the 7th day, and so be clean. But if they do not purify themselves on the 3rd day and on the 7th day, they will not become clean. All who touch a corpse, the body of the human being who has died, and do not purify themselves, defile the tabernacle of the Lord. Such persons shall be cut off from Israel. Since water for cleansing was not dashed on them, they remain unclean. Their uncleanness is still on them. This is the law. When someone dies in a tent, everyone who comes into the tent and everyone who is in the tent shall be unclean 7 days. And every open vessel with no cover fastened on it is unclean. Whoever is in the open field touches one who has been killed by a sword, or who has died naturally, or a human bone, or a grave, shall be unclean 7 days. For the unclean, they shall take some ashes of the burnt purification offering and running water, and shall be added in a vessel. Then a clean person shall take hyssop, dip it in the water, and sprinkle it on the tent, and on the furnishings, on the persons who were there, and on whoever touched the bone, the slain, the corpse, or the grave. The clean person shall sprinkle the unclean ones on the 3rd day and on the 7th day, thus purifying them on the 7th day. Then they shall wash their clothes and bathe themselves in water, and at evening they shall be clean. Any who are unclean, but do not purify themselves, those persons shall be cut off from the assembly, for they have defiled the sanctuary of the Lord. Since the water for the cleansing has not been dashed on them, they are unclean. It shall be a perpetual statute for them. Those who sprinkle the water for cleansing shall wash his clothes, and whoever touches the water for cleansing shall be unclean until evening. Whatever the unclean person touches shall be unclean, and anyone who touches this shall be unclean until evening.
I mean, surely this is the word of God.
Well, I think it relates to what you were just talking about regarding community, because you see, if they touched anybody who was unclean, they would be cut off, and they basically could not come back until they purified themselves. So I think that this church religion stuff has a lot to do with the psychology of how people work and how we crave to belong towards something. I think you see that. You see that with everything: sports,
And
religions,
rituals. Because once again, like this purification, politics. It's weird. It doesn't involve any soap.
I mean, they use water, and what's hyssop?
I don't know.
That's why we have Google.
They're not like using it. They're sprinkling it on stuff, though. They're not using it like soap.
Huh?
I don't know, man. I'm once again, I'm trying to stay very cool, calm, and collected. But thank you for taking my point earlier. Huh?
Hyssop is a plant. Actually, it's called Hyssopus. The technical term is Hyssopus officinalis.
So it's not soap?
It's not soap. It's a plant. It kind of looks a little bit like lavender, or at least it has a lavenderish color.
Cool. That sounds like how they're using it, like how lavender's used. It's like an essential, like you can put it in water and use it for make lavender water, and it's nice and relaxing and all that good stuff. But this just sounds like a bunch of people just stumbling around in the desert.
Okay. Well, there's going to be a lot of that, so I feel like
so
you should change your attitude. Maya Angelou said, if you can't change something, change how you think about it. So maybe that's what you should do when it regards to the stuff like this.
All right. Once again, that's real easy to say when you're not being oppressed by this.
Maya Angelou went through a lot of oppression.
She was being oppressed by this as well. Her grandmother smacked her in the face for saying "by the way" because she thought she was blaspheming. Like
by the way.
Yeah, because she said Jesus is the way. She was saying she was using the Lord's name in vain because she said by the way. And this was after she hadn't spoken in years, like after her rape, when she was silent for years and years. The first word she said to her grandmother was, "Oh, by the way, Mrs. Such and Such brought these books over." And her grandmother smacked her in the face for saying by the way. So, my God. It's a little oppressive.
Old fucking Southern...
Black women. And once again, it's
Angelou's from what?
She's from the North, but she went to go live with her grandmother in the South. It's her autobiography's version. But once again, why though? Because that's how they got the slave rebellions to stop, because they got us to convert to Christianity. Like, that's a big part of the narrative that's left out, is that they're like, "Ooh, you may share with us in our white Lord," and we were like, "Yes." And it was a form of protection, like for Black women. They knew, actually, listen, I have a whole bunch of stuff to go into about this, but let's read the Bible because, let's eat our vegetables.
Okay.
Numbers 20, the waters of Meribah. The Israelites, the whole congregation, came into the wilderness of Zin in the first month, and the people stayed in Kadesh. Miriam Miriam died there and was buried there. Now there was no water for the congregation, so they gathered together against Moses and against Aaron. The people quarreled with Moses, saying, "Would that we have died when our kindred died before the Lord. Why have you brought the assembly of the Lord into this wilderness for us and our livestock to die here? Why have you brought us up out of Egypt to bring us to this wretched place? It is no place for grain or figs or vines or pomegranates. There is no water to drink." Then Moses and Aaron went away from the assembly to the entrance of the tent of meeting. They fell to their faces, and the glory of the Lord appeared to them. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Take the staff and assemble the congregation, you and your brother Aaron, and command the rock before their eyes to yield its water. Thus you shall bring water out of the rock for them. Thus you shall provide drink for the congregation and their livestock." So Moses took the staff from before the Lord as he had commanded him. Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly before the rock, and he said to them, "Listen, you rebels, shall we bring water for you out of this rock?" Then Moses lifted up his hands and struck the rock twice with his staff. Water came out abundantly, and the congregation and their livestock drank. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust in me to show my holiness before the eyes of the Israelites, therefore you shall not bring this assembly into the land that I have given them." These were the waters of Meribah, where the people of Israel quarreled with the Lord, and by which he showed his holiness. Passage through Edom refused. Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the kingdom of Edom. "Thus says your brother Israel, you know all the adversity that has befallen us, how our ancestors went down to Egypt, and we lived in Egypt a long time, and the Egyptians oppressed us and our ancestors. And when we cried out to the Lord, he heard our voice and sent an angel and brought us out of Egypt. And here we are in Kadesh, a town on the edge of your territory. Now let us pass through your land. We will not pass through your field or your vineyard or drink water from any well. We will go along the king's highway, not turning aside to the right hand nor to the left until we have passed through your territory." But Edom said to him, you shall not pass through, or we will come out with the sword against you." The Israelites said to him, "We will stay on the highway, and if we drink of your water, we and our livestock, then we will pay for it. It is only a small matter. Just let us pass through on foot." But he said, "You shall not pass through." And Edom came out against them with a large force, heavily armed. Thus Edom refused to give Israelites passage to the territory, so Israel turned away from them. The death of Aaron. They set out from Kadesh, and the Israelites, the whole congregation, came to Mount Hor. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron at Mount Hor on the border of the land of Edom, "Let Aaron be gathered to his people, for he shall not enter the land that I have given to the Israelites, because you rebelled against my command at the waters of Meribah. Take Aaron and his son Eleazar and bring them up to Mount Hor. Strip Aaron of his vestments and put them on his son Eleazar, but Aaron shall be gathered to his people and shall die there." Moses did as the Lord commanded and went up to Mount Hor in the sight of the whole congregation. Moses stripped Aaron of his vestments and put them on his son Eleazar, and Aaron died there on top of the mountain. Moses and Eleazar came down from the mountain. When the congregation saw that Aaron had died, all the house of Israel mourned Aaron for 30 days. Wow.
God was quick to turn on them.
Man, listen, live by the sword. I mean, you've been running this sacrifice game for so long, you might get sacrificed yourself.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
It is. That sounds, so much of this stuff is kind of, to me, when you're thinking about, like, if this was a real story, like, Moses and, like, Eleazar killed Aaron, right?
Is that what you took from that?
That's the subtext I got from it, yes. Listen, in real life right now, if you and two other guys went up a mountain and only two of y'all came back and you said, "Yeah, the Lord killed him," what do you think really happened?
I mean, also...
And you took his clothes off of him, put him on the other dude. You came down wearing the other dude's clothes and be like, "The Lord took,
Yeah.
Lord giveth and Lord taketh away," you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
And Miriam got shit. Like, at least Aaron got mourned for 30 days. Miriam just died. She barely got a footnote. Like, that was a huge honor. They were like, "Oh, Miriam died."
But Moses about to die soon too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, all these people need to go. And also too,
This
it's
story
like
is actually
the
great.
king of the king of Edom Like, if he wouldn't let them through, why didn't the Lord like do that stuff he does when people disobey
Yeah,
and like dog his people out?
this is true. Also, I just took from that the king of Edom not letting them through was because they already fucked it up before. And they were like,
I think so.
"We're
Yes.
not letting you back in here."
Right. Y'all troublesome asses. You're probably gonna steal some. We remember that shit y'all did before with the foreskin trick and slaughtered everybody. Like,
Yeah.
y'all have a reputation about you. And you just be killing like cows, like for purification. Once again, I have no idea how killing a cow is supposed to make the God of the universe cool with you.
Yeah, but this was a time of exploration, so we didn't know all of this until.
Your time of ignorance, I think, is what you're.
Well, I think ignorance breeds exploration. Like if I don't know what something does, and I start to tinker with it.
Most people, once again, the reason we're reading in the Bible is because we explore. Most people don't.
Well, I think exploration is taking on a new meaning because now we have a vast understanding of things in the world better than we would have had in this time, and so the way we explore is different than how they would have explored.
Sure. Once again, these people don't seem like they're interested in learning much other than how to kill the people in the land so they can take it.
Well, I don't know. I think this last this be chapter passage whatever, I think this was pretty interesting because yeah, they ended up kind of reaping what they sowed, or at least Aaron did. But also Aaron, because we had that one chapter where Aaron had beef with Moses and God had to step in and settle it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this was just
like
Moses.
Moses got the last word.
I think this was just Moses, doing that.
Yeah, we already know Moses is pretty cool with killing a guy.
Yeah, that seems. I mean,
like,
that's been his
much
MO.
to me, that's why, like, I don't want to venerate this. This is a legacy of thuggery and like warlords. Like, this isn't
So
anything.
basically, we haven't really changed that much.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Like, that's my whole thing. Like, I don't want to worship warlords now, and I don't think I should, or the gods of warlords. It's like, my God is defending me in battle. As long as, like, there's all this stuff where it's like, except when he's not. Like just now with the king of Edom.
I don't know. I feel like you have a tall task ahead of you.
I do.
Because this is
a girl needs something to do.
Yeah, well, with that being said, on to number 21, the bronze serpent. Sidebar. Did we talk about Men last time? We talked about Men, the movie Men, Alex Garland.
Yeah.
All right. Oh. Yeah, that movie's great. All right. Anyway, number 21, the bronze serpent. This is a long one. When the Canaanite, the king of Arad, who lived in the Negab, heard that Israel was coming by the way of Atharim, he fought against Israel and took some of them captive. Then Israel made a vow to the Lord and said, "If you will indeed give this people into our hands, then we will utterly destroy their towns." Well, damn. The Lord listened to the voice of Israel and handed over the Canaanites, and they utterly destroyed them in their towns, so the place was called Hormah. From Mount Hor, they set out by the way to the Red Sea to go around the land of Edom, but the people became impatient on the way. Wonder why. The people spoke against God and against Moses. Why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness, where there's no food and no water, and we detest this miserable food? Then the Lord sent poisonous serpents among the people, and they bit the people so that many Israelites might die. What the fuck? The people came to Moses and said, "We have sinned by speaking against the Lord and against you. Pray to the Lord to take away the serpents from us." So Moses prayed for the people, and the Lord said to Moses, "Make a poisonous serpent and set it on a pole, and everyone who is bitten shall look at it and live." So Moses made a serpent of bronze and put it upon a pole, and whenever a serpent bit someone, that person will look at the serpent of bronze and live. The journey to Moab. The Israelites set out and camped in Oboth. They set out from Oboth and camped at Lyle Abiram. I don't know why I couldn't get that word right. Lyle Abiram in the wilderness bordering Moab toward the sunrise. From there they set out and camped into the Wadi Zarad. From there they set out and camped on the other side of the Arnon, in the wilderness that extends from the boundary of the Amorites. For the Arnon is the boundary of Moab, between Moab and Amorites. Wherever it is said in the book of the wherever it is said in the book of the War of the Lords, Waheb, in Supath and the Wadis, the Arnon and the slopes of the Wadis that extend to the seat of Ar and lie among the border of Moab. From there they continue to bear, and that is the well of which the Lord said to Moses, gather the people together, and I will give them water. The Israelites sang this song: Oh, spring up, O well, sing to it, the well that the leaders sank, that the nobles of the peoples dug, with the scepter, with the staff, from the wilderness to Matnah, from Matnah to Nahaliel, from Nahaliel to Bamoth, from Bamoth to valley lying in the region of Moab by the top of Pisgah that overlooks the wasteland. King Shion defeated. Then Israel sent messengers to King Shion of the Amorites, saying, let me pass through your land. We will not turn aside into field or vineyard. We will not drink the water of the well. We will go by the king's highway until we have passed through your territory. But Shion would not allow Israel to pass through his territory. Shion gathered all his people together and went out against Israel to the wilderness. He came to Jahaz and fought against Israel. Israel put him to the sword and took possession of his land from the Arnon to the Jabbok, as far to the Ammonites. From the boundary of the Ammonites was strong. Israel took all these towns, and Israel settled in all the towns of the Amorites, in Heshbon and in all its villages. For Heshbon was the city of King Shion of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab and captured all his land as far as the Arnon. Therefore the ballad singers say, Come to Heshbon, Come to Heshbon, let it be built, let the city of Shion be established. For fire came out from Heshbon, flame from the city of Shion. It devoured Ar of Moab and swallowed up the heights of the Arnon. Woe to you, O Moab, you are undone. O people of Chemosh, he has made his sons fugitives, his daughters captives, to an Amorite king Shion. So their posterity perished from Heshbon to Dibon, and we laid waste until fire spread to Medeba. Thus Israelites settled in the land of the Amorites. Moses sent to spy out Jazer, and they captured its villages and dispossessed the Amorites who were there. King Og defeated. They taken down all the kings. They turned and went up to the road of Bashan, and King Og of Bashan came out against them, he and all his people to battle at Edril. But the Lord said to Moses, do not be afraid of him, for I have given him into your hand, with all his people and all his land. You shall do to him as you did to King Shion of the Amorites, who ruled in Heshbon. So they killed him, his sons, and all his people until there were no survivor left, and they took possession of his land. Well, what the fuck? That was a final scene of Godfather 1, Michael Corleone levels of taking out everybody.
Because, I'm trying to have these conversations with men. I really want to understand men. And these were, like I said, two men that I consider pretty open-minded. Like, they weren't, I guess, like, because most regular men are really, really sexist. And so, just like most, it's our society. It's not their fault. Like, women are sexist, too. So, like, these are two men that I didn't really consider all that sexist. We're talking about, like, how one of them took their mom to church, or went to church with his mom. And it was, a local church out here. I won't even say it, but it's a church. It's a mega church out here. It's a black mega church. And I don't really care for it because the main pastor of it, to me, is wildly hypocritical. It's always teaching about how, like, basically staying, like, sexually pure and all this other stuff. And he has mad affairs on his wife. So to me, he's not someone worth listening to regularly. It might not that say he can't make a point, but it's not someone to me worth following because I don't like the way he lives his life. So anyway, his son's preaching now and was talking about the new Kendrick Lamar album where the couple is fighting. And to me, like, that was one of those I mean, that's that song or skit, however you want to phrase it, to me was like, wow, deeply relatable content. And he's trying to make the point, like, that's why you need Jesus, so your shit isn't like messy like that. But I mean, if I had to guess, most people are religious and they have really shitty relationships. Like, I don't feel like that's really helping people.
Yeah, I think
out.
that was a inaccurate statement, but whatever. And also, I don't think
Well,
I
there's
when
a
people
lot of
say that
inaccurate
because I
statements
don't.
over there.
That's why you need Jesus. Like, what about all the people who do have Jesus and still are getting their ass whooped or still have died, bleed? Like, I heard something the other day, where somebody was like, obviously I was listening to a podcast. It was Dan Savage, and if you don't know who Dan Savage is, he's a gay man. He's in a polyamorous relationship. He's married to his partner, but he had said something, and I think this relates not only to polyamory, but if you flip it to Christianity. And he was like, people always talk shit about polyamory. I'm paraphrasing. He didn't say shit. But he was like, people always talk shit about polyamory. And like, if the relationship doesn't work out, then people are say, oh, it's because you were doing too much. It should only be you two. Like, nobody ever blames, nobody ever blames monogamy, but nobody ever just blames like these people maybe just didn't work together or whatever.
Or normalizing breaking up. Like, not every relationship is supposed to last forever.
And so I feel like that about Christianity specifically, but really the whole idea of God. But since we both grew up we both grew up in Christianity.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like, when somebody dies or whatever, or they're in a shitty situation, and they've spent their entire time praising God and doing what is quote unquote the right way or the way of the Bible, and it doesn't work out, nobody's like, oh, well, you fucked up, you bet on the wrong horse. Nobody ever says that. Like,
well,
it must be you.
Out. Yes, you weren't doing it right. Because what's interesting to me about, like, when I would read about Scientology, like, they do that same thing where it's like, well, it's not the tech, it's you're using it wrong. And it's like, okay, but like, I'm giving you all my money, I'm doing exactly what you're saying, and like, it's still not working. So yeah, at what point do you admit, like, it does? To me, that's always been my biggest beef with it, is the fact it doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, it's also disgusting. Like, it's a bloody, disgusting, women-hating mess. But like, to me, once again, it's so hard to get past branding.
Yeah, that's why I said you have a tall task. I don't, because I just choose not to engage. So
I don't feel like that's now, like, it's a moral imperative now. Like, and also too, like, I can't have life be worse for my daughter than it was for me. Like, the whole reason I have privileges I have is because people before me, like, fought for that. So it's, to me, what I see as spirituality is acknowledging that I'm part of a continuum. Life isn't just about me, and that I need to do what I can for the people after me. But, I have to fight against this bloodthirsty, god of war. And I think I'm up to the task. And that's the thing, it never stops. That's the thing, life is war. That's why The Art of War is a classic. Like, you never get there. It's never like, and now we've conquered it and happily ever after. It's like, no, there's always going to be another, like, ball of bullshit rolling towards you that you're going to have to either dodge or fight. Or the thing is, I think we'll do better as human beings if we work together and realize that this Sky Daddy concept isn't really serving us. Even if it did at some point, which I would make the case that it hasn't, but even if it did at some point, it's not anymore. Except for Black people, it did serve as a survival mechanism in the torturous United States of America.
No, I would not say that helped at all. It just pacified us.
Well, just a survival, same way as like eating chitlins. Like, I don't think we should do that anymore. But like, if it kept you alive long enough to keep surviving.
I mean, I would have much, and obviously I've never been a slave, but I would have much rather the mentality been like, this is bullshit. We're in this situation. We're going to get through, and we don't need to embrace that.
You still need calories for that.
That's where the chitlins come in.
Right. And also, too, it doesn't mean
But
that
we
you
didn't need the Bible.
You kind of did, because the abolitionists and like the, nice white people who were helping you, a lot of them would
They
have
only
been
did it
Christians.
because of the Bible, yeah.
Yeah, like what's interesting to me, it was like whether
Okay,
you
well
were,
then I agree from that standpoint.
it's like whether you were a slaver or an abolitionist, like you're still worshiping the same God, which is kind of weird. Like, is this a moral framework or not? Because you obviously came to two entirely different conclusions about what morality and ethics are.
But that's
So
life.
to me, that always just proves like we're not getting our ethics from the Bible, because you can have people who claim they are and do two completely different things.
Well, I just think that's life, though. Like, we all will arrive to different conclusions anyway.
No, not for things that are real. Like we don't have a different like temperature for ice freezing than Chinese people. Or, like they don't measure gravity different over there.
Fair,
or have
but the way that it feels.
Yeah, but that's not real. Our feelings aren't based in reality all the
but
time.
But that doesn't matter, because
yes, it does. Reality matters.
reality matters. But what also matters is how I feel about the reality. And so that is what you're combating. You're not combating. You're trying to say, here are the facts. Actually, this is very apropos. Because yesterday I took my GRE for I'm trying to get into business school, and there was a question on there for the analytical writing part that was saying it brought up some description, and it was just like, when people are presented with the facts, this is a more solid way to convince them or persuade them to be on your side versus if you're being emotional, quote unquote, or if you're yelling at them or whatever like that. And I would normally agree with that, but something in me made me be like, no, I kind of don't agree or disagree with this, because when you are talking to somebody, you're always battling how they feel about it, regardless if you give them the facts or not. And that can be an example of that is all the unarmed black people that have been killed, for however long, but specifically over this last decade. And then also COVID-19, like, people have been presented with the facts that, this is harmful to people, and maybe we should mask up and get vaccinated, but people don't give a fuck. So when we have these discussions of what we're talking about, I feel like, whereas I understand where you're talking about reality and or the facts, but people don't care about that. They care about how they feel in relation to the facts.
Yeah, I feel like that's a bug, not a feature of human beings. The fact that we have to be like, because to me, it goes back to the whole Santa Claus thing. Like, you don't want to like believe me when I say there's no Santa Claus, or not you, but I mean, like I said, like back in the day when I would be explaining to my, colleagues, there's no Santa Claus, like it's just your parents. I thought you might want to know. And they're getting all mad at me, but it's like, I mean, just look at the reality of the situation. Like, poor kids aren't getting presents. You're getting presents. It's exactly what just none of it makes sense at all from top to bottom. And it's the same thing with this God person. But at the same time, we're so afraid of not getting presents. Like, we're so afraid of not being, it's like, you don't want to admit this was a way of your parents gaslighting you to get good behavior out of you. And it's the same thing with this God person, where people are still really afraid of hell. And that's a form of gaslighting to get behavior out of people. Like, if you threaten people, and once again, we still haven't had a hell yet presented in whatever we've read. You would think that was still early. That big.
We're only like 5% into this thing.
Still, but if those were
it's
the
been
stakes,
like 3 years.
We're 3 books in, and we still haven't had, if there was a hell that you stay in forever if you piss this God off, I feel like that should be mentioned right away. But like the fact that,
yeah, where are all these people who he's having murdered? Where are they going?
I mean, imagine exactly, like, well, for them it's Sheol, which is just sort of like the underworld, like, like they kind of just think where all the spirits go, but like they didn't have it segregated into the good and the bad people.
66 books are in the Bible.
Oh, well, which version of the Bible though? Because the Catholic one has more.
Right, that has the extra 14 that was removed. Which
is it 14?
What are these? This is according to
the
Google.
Apocrypha.
That's the book. It was.
Or were those the other books? Never. I see. There's so much like.
Look.
Once again, you have to remember, like,
I just
the Catholic
Googled this
Church
shit.
was
Okay.
they were editing for a while.
There's about 60 to 73 books in the Bible.
Sure.
We've only read 3. We're about to finish the 3rd one so far. So again.
But once again, like, I feel like there's so many. How many instructions do we get about the lampstand? Is that more important?
Yeah, a lot of it is just filler.
Spending forever in hell.
A lot of it's just filler.
Once again, like, this is a God who understands us. Like, we know the things we hear first are more important. So for right now, it feels like it's way more important. We know how much to sell slaves for and how to organize the lampstand and how to kill the animals just so, and put a little bit of blood on your earlobe. Like, these are little kisses from God. Yeah. Like, this is my instruction. Like, all of this is just, to me, so apparently false. But just like the Santa Claus stuff, but nobody wants to hear it, like you said, because of how they feel about it. It's like, well, I like Christmas cookies. It's like, well, bitch, I like Christmas cookies too. I still eat Christmas cookies.
I was talking about this with my roommate yesterday, not Santa Claus or the Bible, but I think where your hang up is, no, I wouldn't say fuck up. I think where your hang up is
how much it's oppressing me.
That. But also just, I don't know. I feel like you have to give the appropriate amount of fuck. And often I feel like when we have these conversations, it comes across that you are this social justice warrior.
What is wrong with being a social justice warrior?
There's nothing necessarily wrong with it, but it becomes
for social justice.
But you become that person. You become the Skylar. You become the Skylar on Breaking Bad.
No, I don't.
Yes, but that's how you come. Yes, you do. And everybody, hold on. I'm going somewhere with this, so just hear me out. Because I watched the video, and they broke down, like, everybody hated Skylar. And he, just to, like, speed it up. Basically, we all hated Skylar because we wanted Walter White to win. But hold on.
It's because she was dumb.
No. But in reality, what did she do wrong? She was forced into a situation
and didn't leave. That was the thing. Like,
she tried to leave.
But
stop commenting. Well, let me make my point, because you're the Skylar. So anyway, she was forced into a situation. She tried to leave. She was threatened. Whatever. But anyway, the point of what I'm trying to say is that if any of us had been placed in that type of situation, then we would have probably reacted the same way. We would have not wanted to be in that situation, as Skylar did not want to be. And so, but because the way that the show is framed, it makes us hate that character because we like Walter so much, or we wanted him to succeed. I feel like I
wasn't cheering for Walter.
You weren't, because you're also the Skylar. But anyway, the point I'm making is because people are so infatuated with
first person narratives,
that, or Bible, or being on top, having control of women, the list goes on. When somebody comes out, such as yourself, and says, this is kind of bullshit, and because you are who you are in relation to the world, people are just going to look like
black lady folks.
Yeah, people are just going to look at it like, oh my God, this bitch is breaking our balls.
Yeah, this arrogant black bitch.
So
I think the historical term is uppity.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I don't fault you for that. I just understand how people are. Like, nobody wants to hear that shit.
I know. Accountability is bullshit. I mean, it's just hard. Like, it's hard to, it's just hard. Like, and then being oppressed is hard. Like, it's coming at every direction all the time, and we're so normalized to it. And so, like, when I'm trying to make myself, like, not accustomed to it and fall, because it is easier just to fall into it. It's like, fuck it, just, why don't I just join a church and get a good job and, find a nigga to lie to me and, like, and just post shit on Instagram. Like, why not? But at the same time, it's like, no, like this, it's just like with the Santa Claus stuff. The truth is better. Like, this
For
is
who? For
I mean,
you.
ultimately everyone. Like, living in lies leads to like 9/11. Those people were like in a bullshit fantasy where they were going to have a glorious afterlife because they were listening to their like Muslim pastor. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that like people think that that can't happen to us, like the fact that if you get lulled into bullshit, just like that bad vegan lady, like if
I
you
haven't
get
watched this.
lulled in like by bullshit, you start to dull your ability to be a logical thinker. Like, so once you start just going into bullshit all the time, and then that's where it becomes dangerous because then you're not engaging with reality. And that's how you get fucked up. That's how you get scammed all the time. Like, that's why it's so easy to scam Americans. Like, they're
Isn't-
already running on so much bullshit. It's not hard to take on more
For
bullshit.
sure, but again, it's
and
hard.
that's harmful.
It's hard. I agree with you to a degree. I just
all right, let's leave there.
I,
Bye. No.
wow. I was just gonna leave with this. Well, I was just gonna make another comparison. I think again, it's hard when people feel or like something, and some fucker comes along and is like, "Hey, actually, we're not doing this in the right way, or we're not
Yeah,
doing
like
this."
Adam ruins everything.
Like it is. I think a lot of people have an inability to accept that, because it's basically that behavior of, well, this is the way we've always done it, so why would we change now? And the example of that would be, not a direct example, but this still piggybacks on the overall arching conversation. It's like how Young Thug and YSL are all locked up now, and everybody's like, yeah, they're on conspiracy for like 50 murders and shit like that. And all Black Twitter is saying is free them, free them, free them.
I didn't even know about this.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so, whereas I don't want to see any black man
I don't like seeing people locked up.
locked up in jail.
Like people killed.
But exactly, that's the point I'm making. So I feel like, but if you come out like, because that's all I've been seeing on Twitter, and very rarely have I seen anyone who has said the thing. I saw maybe one or two people who went online and were like, "Y'all want these people freed, but what about all the people who they fucking killed and all that?"
Right? Do they not deserve justice?
Yeah, but no, they don't, because we want their music. We like in their celebrity, and they're this figure, you know. So I feel like that's the same way it relates to the Bible. When what's his name?
Moses?
No, not Moses. This is another rapper who got killed. King Von got killed a few like last year. I think it was last year. The year before that. Whatever. Within the last 2 years. All these people were like saddened by that, but it's like this person also allegedly killed people. So then it's like,
it's the same way like when people cheer for Ghost on Power. It's like, this is the wrong
Ghost
guy
was my
to cheer
nigga.
For. Like, what?
I said Ghost was my nigga.
Why though? Same thing with these rappers. Why? Because he killed a lot of people?
No, I don't want to see people getting killed. I just understand like that's the game.
Okay. But it's the same thing though, right? Because it's like, it's a thing you enjoy. So like, you don't want to necessarily be like, oh, this person is like actually the bad guy in this situation.
No, he's terrible.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
model
all I'm
myself
saying.
after that nigga.
Exactly. Like,
I just thought,
that's all I'm saying.
I
Like,
just, for me, Power
he just had a
hit
very
different
nice-
because that was one of the
his
first
suits
times.
fit. That's really the only time you see a man whose suits fit. Like, when that very rarely happens. Most people don't have their stuff tailored. So like, when you see a man
Okay,
in
so
his well-tailored
that's where I'm
suit,
going
it's
with
powerful.
it. That was the first time, because I feel like a lot of times when we see shows about gangsters or criminals and it portrays black people, not always, but we tend to be like the shitty criminals. So for me to watch somebody like Ghost, who was like highly intelligent, and like, I mean, you can argue like he wasn't really that fucking smart, but like the way that he moved to
It sounds like Tasha set up a lot of it.
well, you know, behind every man.
Yeah.
But
And
that was but I mean that was ultimately his downfall too. In a way, he was just like, we don't have to get into a whole Ghost thing, a whole fucking Power thing. The point I'm making is I just liked seeing a show where because I like gangster shows, but I like shows. I don't want that shit in real life, people.
Sure.
Like,
sure,
let's
sure,
get this
sure.
correct.
In real life, it's not great. All right. Well, so like next time on the Bible Breakdown, it looks like it's going to be pretty good because it looks like they're going to like Balak summons Balaam to curse Israel.
Mm-hmm.
What? Oh, and there's a is this the one with the talking donkey? This is what this will be exciting. This is what Shrek is the talking donkey from Shrek is based on.
Didn't know that.
Talking donkey there's a talking donkey in the Bible, people.
No. Is that really what it's based on?
Just like a fairy tale. I think so, yes.
Okay.
I know how like sneaky artists and animators are.
Sure.
Like, because the whole show, like everything is based on a fairy tale, and I think that's kind of a nod to the fact that the Bible is a collection of fairy tales. So we should believe in it about as much as you do the Cinderella story, the Snow White story. And actually, they're perfect analogs, because even if you use them as metaphor, they're terrible messages about life, about how you should be waiting for your prince to come, or keep accepting abuse until your prince comes to rescue you. Live with like 7 dudes and work for them for free, and let dudes kiss you while you're knocked out. Like, all
Who
that.
lived with 7 dudes? Snow White? Or Snow White.
Yeah, like dwarves do not let you stay with them without expecting
They was definitely
something.
beating.
Yeah, like this isn't, so don't get it twisted. There's fairy tales, and so that's the thing. Like, so yeah, come back so we can learn about Balaam's ass. And it's funny because in this version they call it a donkey, but I remember in the old one it was Balaam's ass. And that was funny because butts are ridiculous.
Okay, well, thank you for tuning in, everyone.
Yeah, this is a great one. I like this. I looked in person, so we got the energy and stuff.
Great.
And it kept me cool, because I was like, I have to stay calm. Because sometimes when I'm alone in my closet, I can get a little fired up.
Okay. Oh wait, hold on. The Bible breakdown at gmail.com. That's me. The Bible breakdown at gmail.com. Tune in. Love to hear from you people.
Tap in. Oh, your body belongs to you. Have fun with it.
Hey, just try to stay safe, man.
Do that too.
People shooting up everywhere.
They are.
Maybe
it's because we worship a bloodthirsty, murdery God.
And on that note, peace.